Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It is update day. Update 1.47 is going live this morning, and obviously you can probably gather from the day that it's released on a Tuesday that it is not a content update. It is purely a bug fix update, but does fix some pretty big issues that were ruining a big portion of the game. So heading over and checking out the update notice, as you can see, update notice 1.47 released on the 7th of May 2024. A new update for Gran Turismo 7 has been released. The following is a list of adjustments introduced. Improvements and adjustments. Number 1, car settings. Fixed an issue where car settings could be changed even when car settings are prohibited in event regulations. So in terms of this, I did make a video on it just over a week ago. Essentially what was happening, it was allowing players to bypass BOP in the game, and it was basically affecting everything, whether that be sport mode daily races. It would have affected the TGR Cup, Nations Cup and such like that, as well as if you was doing like custom league races and things like that and you had BOP enabled, it was able to be bypassed. So essentially what this did was completely wipe out BOP from the game in the way that it currently works in GT7. This did allow players to basically go in, edit all the settings, whether that be aero, suspension, limited slip differential, and really gain some massive time on the default BOP. And it was an insanely easy workaround. Essentially all you had to do was enter into the game, go into the car settings, go onto the tuning sheet, back yourself out and go back in, and now everything would have been editable. As far as I'm aware, this was only around since update 1.46. It was a super simple and super easy bypass, to the point where they actually had to go on and make massive changes to all both daily races and the Nations Cup to ensure that people weren't going ahead and just sort of bypassing the BOP. It only worked with garage available cars, so you had to own the car in the game to be able to bypass this. It wouldn't work on event regulated cars or cars that you go ahead and rent for these races. So in that sense they did have to change the likes of the Nations Cup, that you couldn't use your own vehicles and you had to use event specified cars. So straight away after update 1.46 was around for that week's daily races, there was a bunch of, I guess massively fast times on the board, much quicker than the standard BOP. So after this, in terms of the week after daily races and obviously the rest of the Nations Cup, it was set to event specified cars, meaning that you couldn't run your own vehicles. So obviously there was a knock-on effect in terms of that. They're rather quite quick this time to get this fixed, meaning that from now on you should be able to use your own cars and BOP should work as intended unless specified settings are set on for certain daily races, manufacturers cup, etc. Now for me, I honestly find it a bit of a shame because I don't like the default BOP in Gran Turismo 7. I think it makes far too many cars completely useless, and I think in terms of BOP it should realistically only limit the weight and the power of that car, and drivers should have to master the skill of the tuning system to be able to gain that advantage. It also brings in more cars to be much better overall. Of course you're going to still run into the fact that there will be meta cars with specific tunes and such. This is always the case even with normal BOP. However, at least it did allow more, I guess, weaker cars under BOP at certain tracks to become much more useful than they originally were. For me, that's the way BOP should be. I feel like it's much more realistic that players that know about tuning and are more interested in that tuning side of it can actually gain an advantage by properly, dialing in a car over a week's period. I think it is much more skill based that way. It takes more time, yes, of course it does, but I definitely think it is the proper way to do BOP. Unfortunately, that is now completely gone. So point number 2 in terms of this update is going to be cars. So in terms of the issue, it was a very specific one. So fixed an issue wherein some wheels could not be equipped on the following cars after update 1.46 was installed, and it only affected the Lexus LFA from 2010. Now I'm going to assume that this isn't lost in translation, and it is very, very specific that it was purely the wheels that could not be changed, so the aesthetics of the wheels and not actually the tires. I do know that sometimes these translations kind of get lost, and certain things will be said in a certain way in the notes, but then it's a completely different thing that actually happens in the game. So I'm going to assume that it was specifically just for the aesthetics of the wheels and not actually the tires themselves. So in terms of that one, very specific, only went on to affect the Lexus LFA, and I never actually went on and saw this in game if it was a true issue. Again, it was very, very specific when they brought out the known issue for this car. So there we go, update 1.47 notes are here and available. You should be able to install this update probably straight away when you see this video. Again, it does reset the BOP back to the way it once was. Now, in terms of any other breakages during the BOP, I'm not sure if they've kind of buffed or nerfed any cars. I'm sure it's just there to specifically fix that setting in terms of, you know, being able to glitch the BOP in ways that it wasn't intended. Again, for me, that's an utter shame. I did like the way that, you know, you did have the BOP installed, but was also able to gain an advantage through suspension, limited slip diff, and obviously things such as like the aero mods and such. Again, the Lexus should be fully fixed and back to the way it was prior to update 1.46 now. However, it is a bit strange that these new bugs are being fixed, but there is still some bugs out there on the known issues for rather quite a while. So again, I don't know why they don't just prioritize those as well and release it as one big bug fix update. So everything should be back to normal after update 1.47. Anyway, massive thanks for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. Take care. Peace.